Hi everybody, this is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. Today we're talking about glassware in the kitchen, and I know some people have had some real problems with glassware breaking all of a sudden and exploding or whatever. So I have a list of tips for you on how to minimize the risk of breaking your glassware. Now, glassware almost always comes with instructions on use and care, and we should all read that paperwork that came from the manufacturer. But a lot of times we don't, and it just gets put aside and maybe even thrown away with all the packaging, and we think, I know how to deal with that, and then somehow or another down the road it gets broken and we're all upset over it, which would normally happen. If that happens, we would be upset. Anyway, in case you lost your instructions, didn't read them, I've got some tips for you. First of all, you want to avoid subjecting any glass to extreme temperature changes, like pulling it out of the freezer and then putting it into a hot oven. Woo! That's major. That's too much for any glass to tolerate. Or taking it from a hot oven that's got food in there that's baked for a half hour and then putting it in your sink or on a marble countertop or something like that that will feel cold. That's an extreme temperature change. That can cause it to just suddenly shatter. I don't care what type of glass it is. It can happen that way. So you need to use care when you're removing glassware from an extreme temperature like the freezer or the oven, and put it on a surface that can absorb some of that temperature, like a folded towel. Maybe put some hot pads under there if it's coming from the oven out. Or if it's going from the freezer to the counter for a little bit, put it on a towel, and that can help to keep it from being exposed to that countertop. Don't add liquid to any hot glassware. Allow it to cool down first. For instance, if you have baked something in the oven, maybe some vegetables or a roast or a chicken or something like that, and you pull it out, you take your meat out or your vegetables out, and then you want to do something so that pan will not get dried up, stuck on burned food on there. You don't want to add liquid to that hot glass because that can cause it to shatter. You're going to have to just allow it to cool down first and then add some liquid to it that is close to the temperature of that glass. Do not place hot glass bakeware on cold or wet surfaces, countertops, stovetops, anything like that. Again, like I said earlier, put it on a dry towel and or hot pads, maybe even a wooden cutting board. A cooling rack works really well, or trivets that are designed for hot glass items. A cooling rack is really good because it allows the heat to flow outward from underneath as well as on top. Don't put hot glassware in the refrigerator or freezer. Allow it to cool down first. Again, putting it hot and into the freezer, that's an extreme temperature change exposure, can cause it to break. Don't use glassware on the stovetop, under a broiler, or in a toaster oven. It's not designed for that type of use. Also, don't heat up empty glassware. It's not designed for that beyond where it's heated in the manufacturing process. Don't stick an empty piece in the oven or in the microwave, something like that, or the toaster oven. Now, this is an interesting one, and you would think the opposite. Always preheat the oven first before placing glassware with food in it in the oven. Why is that? That's because when an oven is preheating, the burners are on full force to get that oven to come up to the temperature that you've set it at. And if you put a cold piece of glassware in there, or room temperature glassware in there, even though it has food in there, it's going to feel the radiation from that extreme heat from the bottom and the top burners. If you wait until the oven is preheated, those burners were going to cycle off and on, and when it's preheated, they're going to be off. So yes, it's going to feel the warmth from the oven, but it's not going to have that radiant heat from those extremely hot burners. It can handle it better that way. Don't use glassware to microwave popcorn or to heat food that's in some sort of browning wrappers. Follow the directions that are on the package. When you're heating cheese, oil, or butter in glassware in the microwave, don't overheat it, because you only want to heat it for a minimal time that's needed to heat up the oil or melt the butter, whatever you're doing. Don't overdo it, because that can cause a problem with that glass. Always, always, always allow your glass bakeware to cool down completely before you immerse it in water to wash it. Otherwise, you may have an explosion on your hands. Be careful not to bump, poke, or scratch your glass bakeware with any utensil of any type. By having a little mar on the surface can invite it to break easier than if it doesn't have any mar on the surface. So you want to be careful with it. Treat it like it was Teflon or something like that, where you just don't scratch it easily. Don't use any glass bakeware that has chips or cracks or other damage. It could possibly cause them to shatter all of a sudden unexpectedly. So if they have damage on them, it's really best to discard them. Also, you don't want to microwave nearly empty glassware. Be sure that it has plenty of food in it that will help to absorb that heat that's generated by the radiation in the microwave oven. And that will protect the glass and help to keep it from shattering in the microwave. I do hope this helps you out. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. This is Judi at Judi in the Kitchen. Bye for now.